Hi guys, Ian here, welcome to another video and to my channel. And today I just want to have a little rambling talk about this Sephiroth on the Tree of Life, and I just want to share some of my thoughts as I was wandering around on my afternoon walk. Now, we know, don't we, those, if you know anything of Kabbalah, that the Tree of Life is meant to be a representation of all of existence at the macro level, the universe, the cosmos, excuse me, all of creation, but also at the micro level of manifest existence, and particularly of manifest us, human beings. And you may have come across the diagram and the concept of Adam Kadmon, primordial, spiritual, celestial man, which in some of the most famous diagrams you'll see a man sort of mapped against the Tree of Life. Oh, here's dog sign again. No, go on, off you go. You'll see the Tree of Life sort of with a man depicted, backed onto it. And that is the image of Adam Kadmon. Now, essentially, what it is Adam Kadmon is said to be the initial will of divinity to create and to bring into manifestation all things, including humanity. And, well, there's a lot more to it than that, but essentially it is the blueprint, I suppose, of all of creation, but of spiritual man, spiritual woman, humanity in all of its dimensions, not just physical. Anyway, I've done a few videos already about how the Sephiroth on the Tree of Life can be mapped against our human experience and our emotional, our intellectual, our spiritual drives and attributes and characteristics. But oh, I do apologize. But recently I've been trying to spend a bit more time looking at the ancient Kabbalistic texts like the Sepher, Yetzirah, particularly that book, because I think to go on the Zohar, but particularly the Sepher, Yetzirah, because to go back to the original scripts and see what is written yourself, I think is a necessary step in understanding anything. Now, another thing I would say here, and I speak for myself, but you know, you might agree or disagree. Whilst it's important to listen to what learned people have said about what these scriptures, these ancient texts mean, I think it's equally important to note what they mean to you. What sense do they make to you? What personal meaning do they have? Because this is very important. Our relationship with the spiritual realms, with divinity as we perceive it to be, is personal. We cannot relate to divinity through someone else's understanding of divinity. No, we can only do that through our own understanding and experience of divinity. And I think I've come to the place now where I'm interested in knowing what people think, and I consider it and I chew it over. But also what is important to me is what I feel, what I see, what I understand. And my own understanding has evolved and changed. And some of the things that I first thought, oh, I'm not sure I agree with that, now that I am a little bit more advanced in my journey, I understand better, and I can say, yeah, I see that now. Yes, I can I'm ready to integrate that now into my understanding of this thing. But similarly, other things which I swallowed hook, line and sinker as absolute truths, now I've come to the conclusion, well, I'm not sure I agree with that anymore, because I think I understand it differently, and my understanding makes more sense and is more satisfying, more fulfilling for me. Anyway, that was a long aside and a long ramble. But where I'm going with this is that if the Sephiroth are equally as much a map of humanity as they are of the cosmos, we should expect to see some of ourselves in them, even in the lowest manifestation of creation, i.e. the physical matter. We should expect to see some links, and indeed we do, because we've already looked, haven't we, in past videos at, as I say, emotion, personality and such like that. But there's things that I'm seeing now that I'm reading the Sepher Yetzirah for myself, additional things that I'm seeing that I didn't realise and I didn't notice before. But let's back up a little bit as to what it is said that the Sephiroth actually are, and where they sort of fit. Because we don't get our telescope out, do we, and look into the night sky and see the tree of life next to the moon. So the tree of life is a conceptual representation of a spiritual structure, if you like, a spiritual model. And it is said that the Sephiroth exist in the world of Atziluth, the four worlds of Kabbalah, the highest world being Atziluth, the world of emanation. This is the world of divinity. This is the direct environment in which divinity is and exists, unfiltered, unmetered, unmoderated or modulated, right? We can't go there. We can't see there. It's beyond us. It is beyond even the angels. It's the realm of the very highest spiritual beings. Now, okay, so if we can't go there, how can we know about it? Well, when I come to understand this, I thought back to, I'm much more familiar with the Bible than I am with, the ancient texts of Kabbalah and the Sepher Yetzirah particularly. But I thought back to the story of where Moses says to God, I want to see your face. I want to look directly at the face of God. And God says to Moses, you can't. No man can look at God and live. No human, man or woman, can look at the face of God and live. But I will hide you in a cleft in the rock, and you may see my back parts as I pass by. Now, that's a strange thing, isn't it? Why did Moses need to be hid in the cleft of the rock? Well, my answer to that for myself is that it's so that that his gaze, even the limited gaze that he had of the back parts of God, was constrained. So Moses is in the cleft of the rock, there's rock all around him, his aperture of vision is narrow, and he looks out and God passes by, the back parts of God. Now to me this is the least powerful aspect of divinity, the moderated, toned down aspect, so that Moses is not destroyed utterly. And God passes by, and Moses sees the back parts of God. And it says later on in the scriptures that Moses' face shone for some considerable time after, and the people of Israel, when he came down from Mount Sinai, they were afraid because his face was so bright. So to me, this speaks of that even in the most limited and restricted form that we are able to perceive divinity, it is something remarkable and something outstanding, which causes us to glow, which causes us to shine, not only literally, but in all of the aspects of our life. Our personality, what we are, cannot be unchanged after a direct encounter with divinity. Now, whether that be the God of the Bible or your own personal divinity, a close encounter with divinity, we cannot fail to be changed by it. And people will know, and people will say something different about you. And that's how it should be, shouldn't it? Because, if we come to look at even the back parts of God and we're not changed by it, then something wrong, Was it really God? And I think then to the teachings of the four worlds of the Kabbalist, and the teaching that says that, we can't know or experience Atziluth, the world of emanation. It's utterly beyond us. So that we're below that, the world of creation, of Beria. Can we experience that? No. And the teaching is that the highest world that is experienced, that is open to our experience, is the world of Yetzirah, the world of formation. Because when you think of it, it's right, because even if we say, even Moses' experience of God, he didn't experience God in Atziluth, did he? He didn't experience God in Beria. No, he experienced God, whether it was physical, the physical, God passing by, or whether it was in a vision. It happened within him. It happened within the world of Yetzirah, of formation. So that's important that we know this, that all of our experiences of the Sephiroth and of divinity are experienced in Yetzirah. We have an experience of Atziluth, but in Yetzirah. We have an experience of Beria, but we experience it in Yetzirah. And this is still, a high world, because this is the world of the angels. So we needn't be too disappointed. It's still pretty fantastic to have an experience of Atziluth in Yetzirah. Ooh, I think am I confusing you? I know I'm drifting all over the place. Anyway, but so yes, what I wanted to move on to then was what it was that I'd actually experienced as new. So I'm sorry about all of that rambling, because that wasn't what I was about at all. So what I wanted to talk about today was how very like the Sephiroth we are, how we are the same. And I want to use a little illustration, which I'm going to have to read now. So let's put my glasses on and hope I can see in this light. And there's just two extracts from the Sepher Yetzirah that I want to read. And these extracts are written about the Sephiroth, but I think they apply equally to us. It says of them, and this is chapter 1, verse 6, "Their vision is like the appearance of lightning. Their limit has no end, and his word is in them, running and returning. They rush to his sayings like a whirlwind, and before his throne they prostrate themselves. Now that's the first thing that I wanted to talk about. And you know, their vision is like the appearance of lightning. And you know, when we've talked about this, haven't we, our meditation, and this is, I got to say, this is an original thought. This is from Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan's exposition of the Sepher Yetzirah, but it's so right. Their vision is like lightning. And you know, when we in our meditations, or when we are wandering around and we suddenly get these insights, these flashes of absolute connection and understanding with the world beyond the world that we live in, and we know something new, and or in a way that we've never known it before. It's like the Da'at, knowing, that we've talked about previously. Our vision is like, what does it say? Their vision is like lightning. Glasses back on. Yeah, their vision is like the appearance of lightning. Their limit has no end. And it's true, this is what happens. We have these flashes of lightning when we see, when our vision is opened to new and deeper spiritual truths. So, yeah, I'm pretty much like the Sephiroth in that regard. What's next? And his word in them is running and returning. I want to dip back to some Bible scriptures for this one, because when I read that, it reminded me of the first verse of the book of John in the New Testament, where it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men." Now, his word is in them, running and returning. So the word of God is in the Sephiroth because they are God. The Sephiroth are emanations of the Ein Sof, but the Ein Sof is no thing. So there is no way that creation can result from no thing without there being something to cause it. And so divinity, Ein Sof, extends and emanates itself into the Sephiroth. And it says his word is in them, his word, which is his will, or her will, because, you know, God is neither male nor female. So in the same way that the word of God is in the Sephiroth, so the word of God is in us. It is the light that is the limitless light that is the life of all created beings, all created things. Let's move on a little bit. They rush to his sayings like a whirlwind, and before his throne they prostrate themselves. Now again, this is talking about the Sephiroth. They rush to his sayings like whirlwinds. They fulfill the will of divinity, as do we, whether or not we know it, whether or not we wish it. Because we were created as a result of the will of divinity. Our end state, the journey that we make, the eventual reunion that we will experience when we return to the unity, but with fully evolved individuality. This is the will, this is the word of divinity. everything serves in its way and in its time. Okay, then I want to move on to the next bit, which is chapter 1, verse 7, where it says of the Sephiroth, their end is embedded in their beginning, and their beginning in their end. Like a flame in a burning coal, for the Master is singular, he has no second, and before one what do you count? Well, I'm looking particularly at this bit. Their end is embedded in their beginning, and their beginning in their end. Just like the Sephiroth, because Keter is cause, Malkut is effect, and there can be no effect without cause. There can be no cause without effect. They are both one and the same. They are both different aspects of the same thing. Like we are, our spiritual selves, our I, our unity. It's the same thing as our physical body. We are, they're the polar extremes of one thing, of one being. So in the same way that the Sephiroth have their beginning in their end and their end in their beginning, so do we. We are like them. We are the Sephiroth expressed as the beings that we are. All deep and an amazing stuff. I'm sure there was something else I wanted to talk about, but no, I think I'm going to stop now, and I'll see if I can make some sense of this video with a bit of judicious editing. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys, and catch you again soon. Bye for now.